This is Karen Ranzi of Super Healthy Children, and I'm so excited to be here with John Kohler. We just spent a week, both of us, up at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, and now that we're back and I have a little time with John, I asked him if he could talk about growing green gardens for families and getting kids involved. So John, could you tell us something about that?
Sure.
That would be beneficial for our families.
Absolutely. I think if you have a family, it's critical to grow a garden. Many families these days, take their kids out to fast food for food and go grocery shopping for food. And literally what kids believe nowadays, you ask kids, they think kids think that food comes from the grocery store, from the fast food place. They're getting really disconnected with where it really comes from, which is Mother Earth and nature and the garden. Because kids aren't making the direct connection like maybe you did or your grandparents did back in the day when everybody lived on farms and grew a portion of their own food. So for this reason alone, I think it's very important to let kids know where food comes from, the garden, and even more importantly than that is to grow your own food at home. And it's really simple to do that. I'll give you 3 very simple tips so that you can start growing your own food at home. And I know some of you guys might be thinking, John, I live in Brooklyn and I don't have a yard and I live in an apartment or a condo and I don't have any space. Well, that's all right, because tip number 1 is just for you guys. You guys can start sprouting inside your home. So whether you're going to germinate alfalfa or clover or radish sprouts into just the little sprouts, or whether you're going to germinate the seeds into little sprouts, you could just grow food in a jar. And it's very important, as Karen will tell you, to get kids involved in the process. When kids start to do it themselves, help soak the seeds and learn about it, they'll kind of get a vested interest in the food. They'll be excited about it. They'll see the growth. They'll learn how nature works, and also they'll be able to taste, literally what they've sowed, which is amazing. I mean, even as an adult nowadays and me growing my own food, it's amazing to taste some of the things I grow and how much better it tastes and how much I like to call it a pride of growership. I've grown this, I'm eating it, man, it's so good. This is the best in the whole world.
You have a lot more of a connection.
Oh yeah, huge, much more connection.
And kids are more likely to eat what they've grown and what they've prepared. So if they're involved, they're more likely to be eating healthfully.
Absolutely. So sprouting little seeds into little sprouts that's just grown in water. So you don't even need to get any soil or anything messy like that in your house. The next step of sprouting is just growing like microgreens or green sprouts. This is what I would call like sunflower greens, or you could grow little radish microgreens or kale microgreens. And I have videos to teach the sprouting and the microgreens all on my YouTube channel, Growing Your Greens. And you could just grow little greens, and Karen's going to be growing some sprouts soon. Hopefully she'll make a video to share with you guys, maybe even how to do it with your kids and whatnot to get them some greens in their garden and in their diet, and also see how they're grown. So that's the easiest way. Now you can grow greens inside, sprouting microgreens and little greens like that indoors all year long, even if it's snowing outside. So there's never excuse not to grow food. You could grow them in as little jar, or just a little cafeteria flat or tray, or a little nursery flat, which is like 15 inches by 15 inches, so it does not take a lot of space. Be sure to check my other videos to see how exactly to do that. The next step, if you want to take it like a step further and really kind of get your hands dirty in some soil, what I would recommend for you guys is container gardening. So container gardening is an excellent way to get involved with gardening. Once again, even if you rent or don't have a lot of space, as long as you have a little space for a couple of containers, whether they're self-watering pots, or I like to recommend an item called the patio pickers or city pickers.
That's what you were recommending.
Yes. It's a 3 foot by 3 foot with little wheels on it, so you could push it around. Your kid could push it around, and you could bring it in at night when it maybe gets too cold, or if it's in the winter time, bring it in at nighttime so that your plants don't freeze, and bring it out in the sun so it could get some sunshine, and literally start growing, tomatoes, peppers. I would grow things like lettuces, arugula, kales, and collard greens. Really, I want you guys to focus on the leafy greens, because literally as soon as you plant the seed and it grows and it starts making leaves, you could eat each and every one, and your kids could start picking them, and you could have literally a picnic in your garden day where you'd take your kids out. Okay, kids, today we're going to eat out of the garden. They could just pick all the different varieties of things, herbs or whatever, and it's all edible and not sprayed, grown organically, and they could just learn how to eat out of nature without having to go to the grocery store.
And all those greens loaded with minerals and protein, vitamins, chlorophyll. You know, we
Yeah.
need that chlorophyll, and we want to get that as much as possible into our kids. So that's great. I love the
Absolutely.
idea of those. What are they called? The picky
Patio pickers or
Patio
studio
pickers.
pickers. Yeah,
Okay.
available at Home Depot or many Lowe's.
Yeah.
Some stores may carry them and some may not. In your area, it's kind of a regional item for them.
Yeah. Great advice, John.
Yes.
Great advice. So I know you have growingyourgreens.com,okraw.com, discountjuicers.com. Those are your three.
Those are my three main websites.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So you've got to go and check out John. He's got a huge amount of videos on growing your greens and has helped so many people. There are people who never thought they could garden, and John has really helped many people to change their lives and get healthier through growing their own greens. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Karen.